right, welcome back. You are in for a conversation. For 28 years, our next guest served in law enforcement, spending part of his career going undercover, infiltrating biker gangs, the KKK, and neo-Nazi groups in the States.
Now he's telling his story, well, the story he's allowed to talk about, in the new book, codename Pale Horse. Please welcome best-selling author and retired FBI agent, Scott Payne.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, Scott, what a story. So we're going to start. You actually ended up using the name Scott Calloway during your undercover work, and you actually decided during your time to use a lot of information that was actually kind of pretty close to your real life story while you were undercover. So did you ever have a worry about being so close to what was real life? Because, hey, you have a wife and 2 kids.
True. So the way I was trained and the way I like to do it is I try to keep the story as close to me as possible. I may or may not have kids. I may or may not be married. I may or may not have played college ball or be a musician and a singer, but you can pretty much bet I probably ride motorcycles and lift weights. So I tried to keep it that way because it's easier for me.
Yeah, easier for you. Let's get to some of the stories you highlight in the book. You go into detail about a time where you were strip searched by the infamous biker gang, the Outlaws. They were trying to find out if you were wearing a wire. Can you tell us about that situation and what was going through your head in that moment?
I was scared.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a good night.
No.
I go into great in depth in the book, but the long and short of it is I'd already been undercover with them for a year and a half. So we had done a lot of criminal activities, like they would steal vehicles, sell them to me at a stolen price. They may carjack somebody, I'd get rid of the vehicle. There were things like that going on. But at a year and a half, the FBI and the United States Attorney's Office, we decided to up the ante, and we were gonna do a big drug deal. But what we didn't know is it went to the top and came back down. And the night before the operation, they told me to come to the clubhouse. So I went over there, and again, a year and a half, I've got a lot of friends in there, or the people I've befriended, right? Yeah. The second closest relationship I had, I get in there, I'm cracking jokes like I normally do, and he comes to me, and they called me Tex. He said, "Tex, you got a minute?" I said, "Yeah." He walks me into this tight stairwell down into a crawl space, and as I'm going down, another outlaw comes behind me, and they brandish their pistols. They let me know I'm not free to leave. I saw a rope, I saw their pistols. I'm thinking, okay, this is not good. And he tells me, look, there's a lot going on. I need you to write down your full name, date of birth, social, everything. And then I need you to take all your clothes off because I'm gonna check you for a wire. Problem was, I was wired to the hilt.
What?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I had several recording devices on me. And again, not a good night. But I laugh now, but boy, let me tell you.
Yeah.
So because of the stress, I forgot my middle name. I mean, I'm that guy. I made it. I know who it is, but because of the stress, and if you hear the recording, my voice is tight, my voice is higher, everything slows down. It's an adrenaline dump. I finally remember my name. I take off all my clothes. They check me, and I put my pants back on. And I think I'm done, because now that adrenaline dump, now I'm leveling out a little bit.
So they didn't see the wires?
Not yet.
Okay. Sorry.
So it's okay. But then he grabs a piece of clothing, and in that piece of clothing, there was a recording device. And I'm sitting there having to watch them search through my clothes, because I'm not free to leave. And you can even hear me say, and I don't even know I do it.
Yeah.
And he looks right at it and misses it.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe a little more colorful.
Listen, there are so many stories like this. So there is a point in your career where you also had to go undercover with the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan, and this was around the same time that a lot of us may remember the Unite the Right protests that were going on, Charlottesville protests, you remember all that was happening. So what was the tipping point, you think, for the FBI, your organization, to actually start looking at focusing on domestic terrorism as an actual threat in America?
Well, I'll say this. The Joint Terrorism Task Forces in the states, they investigate international terrorism, domestic terrorism, and weapons of mass destruction. Now, was there a lot of resources being put to domestic terrorism? No. I definitely believe that Charlottesville and the bad things that happened there was definitely a pivotal point for the FBI to start putting more resources towards domestic terrorism. And we kept working it until I retired, at least.
Wow.
Working a lot of stuff like that.
Well, let's talk about another group that you've infiltrated, the Base. And they are an extremely racist and violent white supremacist, neo-Nazi, accelerationist terrorist group. What is leading people, in your opinion, down these paths of such extreme radicalization?
That's a great question, because I get asked that a good bit. For me, from being in it and seeing it and infiltrating it and living with them, hanging out with them, hate begets hate. You know what I mean? Like, one side does something to the other side, that side wants to do something back. It's a lot of evil stuff. But what I saw from the groups that I was in is you see sometimes kids, but young adults, you know, maybe it might be some 20-somethings, 30-somethings, but they're social outcasts. They've probably been bullied. They have a hard time finding a partner, and they're looking for somewhere to belong. But if you can go back to the 80s and beyond that, where cults would do the same thing. They would do gangs would do the same thing. Hey, we're going to beat you in, but now you're part of the family. They do that. So people who are planning, or groups that are planning nefarious things, will find those broken homes and those kind of people and start grooming them and radicalizing them. There's a lot of radicalization on all extremist fronts that happens online.
Can we talk a little bit about that radicalization that's happening, that they are doing? So the Base that Jess just talked about, they had a thing called Halloween Hate Camp. You actually participated in it.
I did.
And this is actually, you know, we just want to warn people, it is a very disturbing part of the book.
Yes.
We're going to get into some details right now, whatever's daytime TV appropriate, by the way, Scott. So there was military combat drills all the way to animal sacrificing. And you worked in these environments for a really long time. So at some point, you're kind of getting desensitized. But for you, what was the most shocking experience at these camps?
That whole weekend was pretty shocking. I mean, as hanging out on a 100-acre property with a bunch of people who hate with guns, and some do acid, that's not a good combination. But the most shocking thing that weekend was probably the goat sacrifice. They stole an animal, a ram or a goat, and they brought it. And what we did is we had like a pagan ritual, but just like anything else, they take the pagan belief and twist it to their ideology. And we sacrificed the goat. I had to partake, drank its blood. It was not good. It was not good. And I will say this: one of the members that was there for that was actually a Canadian.
Wow.
He was found out here, I think in Winnipeg. He absconded illegally into the United States as a member of the Base, and he was there for that as well.
We have time for one more quick question. You talk about some of these hate groups making recruitment videos, like we saw maybe back in 2001. How do you deal with this type of hatred in 2025?
For me, from what I've seen, there's great organizations out there, Life After Hate, Eradicate Hate, things like that. But I believe we have to start talking about it like it's happening. If you talk about it like it's not happening, and it is, well, we got to be vigilant. We have to stay vigilant. It's very cliche, but if you see something, say something. And if you're a parent, look, you don't have to be a helicopter parent, but pay attention to what your kids are doing. They're being groomed online.
Listen, Scott, this was the ultimate teaser for people to read your book. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having
writing
me.
it. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Wow. Okay, this is the book, codename Pale Horse, How I Went Undercover to Expose America's Nazis. It is out now. Audience, you're going home with yours today. We'll be back right after this.
Hey, you, come a bit closer. We've got so many more must-see interviews, spicy debates, lifestyle tips, and pop culture moments. So subscribe to our channel by tapping the logo below and don't miss out.